Sunday school, and there's a lot of words we're going to use in Sunday school, but this one is way up there. It's called fire. Not fire! No, fire is good, right, Lily? That's right, as long as you do it well, carefully. But we're going to talk about the boring word. That's right, the boring word is boring. Yeah. So imagine, I need you guys to help. Put yourself in a kid's form real quick. You're playing a game. You're locked into your Fortnite, your Xbox One, your PlayStation 4. You have headphones on, you're enjoying with your friends. You're having a time of your life, and someone comes and knocks on your door. And they interrupt your life. Someone you've never met before. Quite frankly, you don't want to meet them. They're annoying you. You're having a good time. Maybe you got a box of Cheez-Its next to you. And you're having a good time. And then someone knocks on the door and stops everything. You gotta rip your headphones off, put it on hold. Guys, I'll be right back. You go to the door, and there's someone there. Hey, have you heard about our Sunday school before? No. Hey, it's awesome, man. It's so cool. We have jumpers, and we have games and science experiments, breakfast. It's incredible. We make it so much fun. It's really. Have you ever been to something like that? No, that sounds pretty cool. Hey, man. Trust me, that guy, he's a scientist, he blows stuff up. He blew a bottle for a ceiling. I just not really had to. He really did blow a bottle for a ceiling, just like a month ago. Thanks for that. So, yeah, it was awesome. It was so much fun. Yeah, you had to go outside for one because he blew another bottle, probably 200 feet in the air. We never found anything on top of the chair. So cool. You want to come? Sure, yes. Okay, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here at 9:15. I'm going to knock on the door. I'm going to text you ahead of time to let you know I'm coming, okay? Imagine you're in those shoes. The kid has just been promised something that's more fun than anything else he has going. Now he's excited. He's pumped up. Brother Hodge already covered this yesterday, but now he comes for the first time. 12 hours later. He put his life on hold. He put the cartoons on hold. He put his video games on hold because he said that it was going to be better than anything I've ever been to. And then they come to our side, let's go! And for 30 minutes, someone gives a monologue on the book of Revelations. And it's so boring, they don't even enjoy it. They didn't prep for it, they just found it online at the last minute and they didn't need to read it. And everybody hates it. Imagine that kid. Would you ever give us a second chance? But I've seen it. I've seen it happen when they want to come back. Someone worked hard to get them there, and the promise was not delivered on. Like Brother Hodge said, you absolutely must deliver. So if a kid doesn't want to come back, you're wasting your time doing outreach. That's right. If a kid doesn't come and experience everything that you promised, you have absolutely flushed your bus ministry's idea of outreach. And especially, you now have someone on the street that's better than you in outreach. They know the people there, and they're going to tell everybody not to come. You're having negative outreach there, and they're going to mess you up. So, Brother Hodge, we're going to talk about some ways to make sure that that doesn't happen in our classrooms. So, let's cover a few things. Let's see. These are more concepts than anything at first, but we need to work as hard in the classroom as they did to get them into it. They got to have quality. I've heard that good marketing will only make a poor product fail faster. So if you market like crazy for a terrible restaurant and they show up and it's bad, it's just going to fail quicker than it would have if you never did outreach, if you never did marketing. So you could really mess with your Sunday school. So what are some ways that we can make Sunday school better?
Well, I think it's important to note too that individual responsibility adds to the collective identity. So what that means is if one person has a responsibility and they don't deliver, it doesn't put a stain on that person, it puts a stain on the restaurant. If the food's cold, guess whose fault that is? It's the waiters. But nobody says, man, the waiter did terrible service. It's like, man, no, it's that restaurant, right? And so we got to recognize we have a responsibility in that Sunday school that we got to put 110% into it. I love the way the connection that you're using in outreach. They're prepping them to come. And what does that prep look like? They're going to their house. They're spending time outside of Sunday, going and making the effort to make it exciting for the kids. And so, if that's what outreach is doing, we've got to meet that same initiative and be preparing throughout the week. You already hit on preparation. And I honestly think that if we would just be preparing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, before Sunday, does that mean that you got your nose in the curriculum and studying every single day and all this stuff? Listen, you might not use curriculum that way, but you need to be thinking about your lesson, you need to be praying about your lesson, you need to be tweaking things in your lesson plan throughout the week and not just wait till Saturday. You already hit it, but I think that's just basic elements right there.
And if you were here for Brother Wayne's session, who was here for Brother Wayne's session about unity between all of the different ministries of children's ministry? It was absolutely revelatory. It was incredible talking about how all of these must tie together. They must be in sequence. But if you're in Sunday school, you can only control certain elements. So instead of whining about what the bus ministry is doing, let's fix the things that we can control. I'm still in this straight from a great lesson. I want to post this online. If you have not, if you weren't here, you've got to listen to it. It's absolutely incredible. So we've got to control the elements that we can control. So this is aimed at Sunday school in the classroom. Now the currency that kids deal in, what do they deal in? What's the bait that gets in there?
Quarters.
No! Not quarters! What's the money that a kid deals with?
Candy.
No! Well, I guess I kind of qualify. It's fun! Right. Fun is the currency that kids understand. That's the language they talk. And what you try to get them to church with doesn't involve fun in some way, they're not going to come. That's why we mention jumpers every time I'm out of door that has kids. And then when it's the older, we have a different method of outreach. But when I'm reaching for kids that I'm talking to, I'm going to tell them about all the fun stuff, about the brotherlies and the jumpers and all the crazy stuff that we got going on. But we have a model that we use in Sunday school. It says, I would rather have to rein in a noble steed than to prod or stubborn mule. And this is for teachers. I would rather have to tell a teacher, whoa, hey, Brother Lee, that bottle through the ceiling. Ooh, I mean, that was cool, but maybe get outside next time. Oh, we're doing it in the church of Redmond. Exactly, in their fellowship hall. That's even better. That's right, we're not doing that. But I would rather have to do that than to say constantly, guys, come on, you gotta do something visual. You can't just stand up there and talk the whole time. You gotta be exciting. I would rather have to write it in than to always be kidding. That's right. That's the currency of kids.
And you know what's beautiful, Brother Booker, is I mentioned this in the prayer session last night, but for those of you who didn't make it, I have something that I call the law of reciprocal expectation. When we clearly define expectations for the kids, not our expectations, but tell them what they can expect that they want, and we measure up to those expectations. What do the kids want? They want to have a good time. They don't want to be bored out of their mind. They don't want to be bossed around and just get through an hour and a half of programming. They want to actually enjoy themselves. And so if we can meet that expectation, then we set them up to want to meet our expectations. When it's time for the altar call, we've had the fun, we've sung the songs, we've played the games, but now it's time to come and pray. And we've built that rapport with them to want to meet our expectations because we met their expectations first. Sometimes we put ourselves before the kids. And we gotta remember the entire reason why we're in children's ministry is this. It's all about the kids. It's not about me, it's not about my program, it's about them. It doesn't matter if it's a good idea, and I think it's a good idea, but if the kids aren't enjoying it, then what I think is for naught. And so we've got to think through the mind and see through the eyes and listen through the ears of the child.
And you got to be willing to act foolish. Yeah. The best Sunday school teachers are those that are really kids at heart. And if you were here last night, you saw a bunch of kids in adult bodies doing children's church. I don't know how they just let us run amok every Sunday, but we have so much fun because I really feel like the best teachers they think like a kid, they act like a kid, and they can relate to a kid. I try to figure out what the kids are interested in, if it's apostolic and that's something I can do. When it was fidget spinner and craze, anybody remember that? I learned everything I could about it. I was like, oh, ceramic bearings are the best, right? Oh yeah, ceramic. Hey, I bought one on Amazon. This thing goes for 27 minutes straight. You get a good play. Hey, you guys are putting it on the air compressor. You get it going. You let it go and it explodes. And these kids are like, dude, this guy's a freak, but he's cool. Because they were in fidget spinners, and so was I. I didn't really care about them before then, but I actually got into it. I was like, dude, these are kind of cool. Don't try to explode a metal one. Ooh, that'll hurt you.
Can I add to that just real quick? If you are an introvert, or if you feel like you're shy and you're involved in kids' church in any capacity, my wife is not the front center person in most situations. That's not her personality. She'd be the first to tell you that. Anybody else that way? It's okay, alright? Here's the thing. You can hide personas. When you're in a children's ministry, you can have a split personality. You would be amazed what a hat can do to you. You would be amazed what a costume can do to you. And my wife, she was a clown. When we were dating, we were in clown ministry. We loved clowns. We didn't paint ourselves up and everything like that, but we know, as kids, we wanted to maintain a certain thing. But we would get dressed up in the most outlandish costume, and my quiet and reserved wife would become joyful. No, who are you? Happy Heart. Her clown name was Happy Heart. My name was Obi Joyful. And she would go absolutely bonkers because she was no longer Brianna Hodge and protecting that personality and that identity. She personified Happy Heart and the clown. And so if you struggle with that, it's okay to hide a different persona when you're dealing with kids to be fun.
Absolutely, it really does help. Sister Delaney is a great example. She started wearing costumes, not because she's such an introvert, right? And she could see how restrained she is. That's a joke. But she wears a different costume. She has all these split personalities. She's Grandma Sweetie, she's Hippie Hope, what are some other, Miss Drizzle? Yeah, she's all kinds of people. But it's caught on, and you probably noticed last night we had a bunch of young people that were running around all just like butterflies and astronauts and whatever else, because that's what they wear every Sunday. That's who they are. And if it takes that to connect with a kid and get outside yourself, do it. Do it. So be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Always learn a new skill. If you're comfortable doing an object lesson but not doing songs, man, bite the bullet. Figure out how to do it. Sing in your truck and bring your car until you're just scare everybody away. But just have fun with it until you figure it out. If you don't know how to do Christian illusions, magic tricks, do them until you finally master them. Do one over and over until you finally get it figured out. Science experiments. I'm not a scientist, but man, I can fake it. I can fake it really good. I can wear a lab coat like nobody's business. And I can do some very minor stuff that Brother Lee lets me. We had a lot of fun with that. Juggling, figured out. Ventriloquism, magic tricks, riding a unicycle. Brother Billy, are you here? He had a unicycle here last night. I think he was actually riding. Did he ride it in church? I think he was intending to. I don't know if he actually did. Unicycle, object lessons, skits, puppets, you name it. Just figure it out.
Tongue twisters.
Yeah.
So,
I've never done that. Touch me.
You did. Well, kind of. To everybody else, it'll be a tongue twister, but to us, we're pros. So, on the way to Summit, we were a meeting in Summit. We were caravanning in Nashville. And we were driving to Summit for Kingdom Kids Conference. And the entire way to the city, from Nashville to Gatlinburg, we were listening to kids' music. And it was just us. We had no kids. It was just us. And we were like driving down the freeway. And everybody going down the freeway was like, I am a singing, oh, I am a singing, I am a singing, ring, I sing, ting, I am and I am singing, ring, I sing, ting, in my ring, ting, and I will ring, I ring, ting, ring. So we did not practice that at a time. But that's not Charlie. Fun with I see that everybody knows the I am a Christian. Well, there's all kinds of. Look at the I that no one cheats. I am a calm. I am a calm. I am a calm from my sometime I know. And I have come from my sometime in my home. And I will love my home. And it makes the whole song fun. But we get down to just pick that up. Oh, that's a long time. Exactly. Yeah. And you have all kinds of OP, I am a calm, I am a calm, I am a calm. That's right. So at our church, we tell people if it catches your attention, if it's exciting to you, it more than likely is going to be exciting to a kid. So if you're looking at some clip someone sent you of a really neat Christian illusion magic trick, but it doesn't really have a lesson behind it, but it catches your attention, grab it, figure it out, buy it, whatever you have to do, and you can wrap a lesson around anything. Sometimes we stretch the envelope pretty far. And we'll talk about, we're talking about the power of the Holy Ghost, and we're using something that, it is very
is just get something, get a hook that they can hang that lesson on, and they will remember that visual. So find something that catches your attention and then share it with the class.
You don't want to spend too much time on pointless fun, because sometimes, because we don't have so much time, but sometimes certain visuals, certain activities, certain songs, they're not going to have necessarily a main message that you're revolving around. You're just doing it to keep their attention. Because the longer you get to keep their attention, the more opportunity you're going to have to. Brother Wayne actually has a beautiful lesson on the trash can. You remember that? But you only have their attention span for so long, and they're only going to have their hearts open to the message for a specific amount of time. And so the more opportunities you have to get them to open the lid and to open up, you're going to be able to put that message in there. So, like the fire, blowing the fire fan. There was nothing to, it was just like, everyone's like, ah, but you didn't teach a lesson on it, it was just cool.
It was just attention giving.
Yeah, attention giving, yeah.
Force yourself to be creative even if you're not. That's why God invented Pinterest. I'm almost positive. So I don't care if you're a guy, I don't care who you are, you can be creative. You can always find something. It really bothers me when people say, I'm just not creative, that's why my classroom is boring. You have no excuses. Be the one that's always trying to experiment, learning how to tie animal balloons, try puppets, learning new games, learn new fun giveaways. That the kids follow around because they never know what you're going to do. I love having weird stuff in my pocket. Like right now I just happen to have another mouthful. I mean, it's weird, but I'll have stuff like that constantly. I like expanding magic wands, which we're going to get away in a little bit. Christian illusion wands. Sorry, we don't do magic in school. And we'll have all kinds of stuff. These kids just like cool stuff, and they never know what you're going to do. Practice telling stories. He's going to be talking about that. Spend your own money on stuff. Don't expect the church to finance your budget to learn stuff. Maybe your church does. But I've spent, God only knows how much money on stuff. I have literally a closet that I built for nothing but Sunday school. Like it has nothing but optimism. So and the church didn't buy a dime of it. That's all stuff that I spent money on because I like doing it. Be enthusiastic even if you don't feel like it. Fake it until you feel it. We tell our people that. I don't care what kind of problems you woke up with, don't share them with the kids. Hide them. Be a hypocrite if you have to. Hide your feelings and fake happy until you finally feel it. Because you will eventually. You will eventually.
Yes.
And we make it exciting from the second. We make it exciting from the second they step foot on the property. When they drive in the parking lot, we're already having fun. When they get on the bus, we're already having fun. Brother Wayne talked about we have stuff going on in the buses. When we pull in, we're doing a wild chant on the bus. When we pull up, there's a red carpet rolled out. There's a happy man, the other guy at the loft car lot. They call him air dancers, I think. He's got a big old smile. He's never at a loss for enthusiasm. The guy, he's been happy for years. It's incredible.
The kids should never walk into the first room they come into. I understand it's a lobby, you gotta go through a certain common area, but once they get to the place where the kids are, it should not be quiet.
Yeah.
Right? It should not be quiet. Get a Bluetooth speaker, get a speaker, get something up in there, and be blasting some tunes, and make the environment exciting.
That's right. Always change things up. Don't be predictable in your classroom. So the kids know you're going to start with an intro, a song, rules, like change it. So the next week, maybe you start with a song. Next week, just change it up so they never know what to expect. Now, we're not always great at that. It's easy to get in a rut. It's easy to reuse the schedule from last week and change the names, which I'm all too bad about. But change it up, be unpredictable, and never let anything last long.
No.
We say 8 minutes is your max for anything. I don't care how good you are, 8 minutes is about as long as you're going to keep their attention. A simple rule of thumb is 1 minute per year of age. So if you got a 3-year-old, you may have 3 minutes, maybe. 5-year-old, you may have 5 minutes. 7 minutes, maybe. And I think that's dropping constantly. I think our kids are getting more ADD constantly. Like they just can't concentrate on anything. They're in that television commercial. Back to your program.
Especially when there's a talking head. Yeah. And with the preschool, if you're in a nursery, who teaches nursery or kindergarten class in here? Anybody? No, younger? Oh, okay, over here. You're going to have a lot of playtime in that classroom too, because depending on how long you have the kids, I mean, an hour and a half with 4-year-olds, you're not going to be teaching for an hour and a half, no way.
That's right. We got a strict timekeeper in our class. In fact, last week, Sarah Toronto, where are you at, Sarah? So she was our timekeeper, and I told her, I said, be mean, because we got to be on this. So she actually had a whiteboard, and she would write 3, you have 3 minutes left, and a 2, and then a 1, and then done. You're off. And you just gotta get off, the next person's gotta come on, because sometimes you have a strict, hard time limit, and if you hit that, now you just got rid of the most important part of the day, which is the altar call. You just lost time to pray, because you wanted to have your name on longer. And you cannot do that. We have to be better. And here's something else, Brother Hodge, help me on this. I don't understand how people can fill their time.
Oh, yeah.
We could use 3 hours. Like, I would love to have more time. We only have an hour, and it feels like I'm in jail. It's just like every week, it's like, how is it already 10:30? Are you kidding me? We just got past, we're not where we need to be.
You know what I do, Brother Booker? In my lesson plans, and who here actually uses curriculum that's already made up? Whether it's from PPH or some other type of curriculum, okay. At our church, we do lesson planning. It's just lesson plans. And so I know a lot of churches, they do the same thing. They just lesson plan, build their own lessons. They're not using curriculum. But one thing that I find is key for me when I'm doing lesson planning is that in parentheses, next to the event, I put the number of the amount of minutes that I'm expecting to put into that. Like even down to my psalms, like my psalm session that I would do, in parentheses with every psalm, I have the time of the length of the psalm. So I can give myself some, idea of how long I've got. Because I'm not trying to fill time, I'm trying to make sure that I can condense everything into an hour's time. Because there should be so much. And you know what? That is a symptom of running out of time. It's a symptom of somebody who takes their class seriously and is prepared. Somebody who has extra time, that's a symptom of somebody who is unprepared for their classroom and they didn't set a plan in motion to fill the time.
So it can be daunting sometimes for a brand new teacher or someone that's new to this to think, I have to fill an hour? Like, that's terrifying. If you've never taught Sunday school before, I have to fill an hour and a half. That's, quite frankly, it's terrifying. So we break it into segments, like he just said. We chop it up ahead of time. Everybody knows what they're doing at any particular time. Now, I know we're blessed, we have a bunch of people in our class, but maybe you only have 2. Maybe you only have 2 people. Trade off every other one so you can be preparing for your next segment. Now, you may not be able to prepare for an hour, but can you prepare for 8 minutes? Surely we can pull that off. You have a week to prepare for 8 minutes. I don't care if you have to type out every word of it. Don't make it boring, don't read it, but whatever you have to do, you can fill 8 minutes. So we'll have it divided up, and I'll go through a rough schedule of what we do. First one that we'll do is an icebreaker of some kind. We'll get their attention. We actually have a pre-class activity as well. So when kids get there, nobody is bored. There's never dead air. There's always music playing. There's always a game going in class from 9:45 until 10. Then we have an icebreaker of some kind. We have an introduction to the class, which is fun and outlandish. We'll do rules. Still have to be boring. We call it ways to have fun in Sunday school. Yeah. And we always have an interesting way to introduce the ways to have fun. T-shirts, we'll give out t-shirts for the visitors. We haven't done that in a long time. We got to introduce that. You inspired me with that last night. Yeah. Birthdays, visitor Bibles. We got Bibles to all the visitors. Songs, of course, great way to kick off your class. A game of some kind, object lesson, skit, puppet show, offering prayer requests, giveaways, object lesson, song, altar call. All of these are tied into the lesson. Everything is on top. Nothing gets a pass. And we try to tell our teachers that I don't care if you get the most mundane thing on the list. I don't care if you're bringing snacks. Make it the best snacks that ties into the topic that it can be. So the kids know if you're talking about knowing the art of bringing animal crackers, something. But make it fit the topic if you can. Because there's no passes, you still prepare no matter what the segment is. But you can prepare for 4 to 8 minutes. Surely we can pull that up. And even that we change up. It's a different schedule every week. Make sure your classroom is fun, inviting, colorful. We have different things going on all the time. Right now we are in the science thing, but it's kind of hybrid off into some other stuff. But we always have a class theme where we make class decorations, and we've done the game of life, we've done the kingdom, we've done search for truth, a western theme, an army theme. Anyway, we've done all kinds of stuff. Now we're doing research.
That's awesome. If you don't have the space for decor, like it's a shared space and you can't have permanent decor, then you're going to want to utilize costumes and props. Costumes and props. If you can bring that element in there, because you're using a shared space, bring bigger than life props, bring outlandish costumes, and make the best of the environment that you have to the site.
That's right. Rewards and incentives. We give a lot of things out to our kids, like Brother Wayne talked about, is to develop that consistency, to keep them coming. Some stuff that we'll do is birthday. We make it a big deal for their birthday. And if they miss their birthday, they'll come out, hey, we didn't do nothing for me. Yeah, we did. We tried, but you weren't here, remember? So we have birthday cards. We have Brother Julian. Where you at, Brother Julian? You upstairs? He is our resident linguist. He learns a birthday song. How many languages do you have to, brother?
Maybe 8 or 9, probably.
8 or 9 different languages that he's learned happy birthday in. Portuguese, Italian, Hungarian, Russian.
German, Portuguese, no, I think you said that one. Spanish.
So singing happy birthday to a kid can be really dull. Not with Brother Julian. He'll sing it in every language you can imagine. And then, anyway, we just make it a fun deal. He just kind of developed this on his own. He showed up one day and started singing the language nobody recognized. And then the next week he had to one up it. So he learned it in a different language, and he's done that forever. So that's a really fun way to do it. We give away Sunday school dollars to all of our birthday kids. Candy bar. We have giveaways. I'm gonna tell you something to try to tie into. Five Below, well, they always have leftover merchandise, and they're looking for people to give it away to. We have a truckload of Five Below stuff in our fellowship hall that quite frankly, don't know what I'm gonna do with. We have probably 10, 15 boxes that just got dumped off. We were supposed to go to the Ronald McDonald house, and they wouldn't pick them up, so they called us. So we have a ton of them, and they're cool stuff. You know, stuff that they would have on their shelves. There's nothing wrong with them. Now we have a rapport with them. I have their phone number, and I can call them and say, hey, you guys got any more? And we'll come pick it up. So we use that for our Sunday school store, Brother James. We'll put that in for our giveaways. We have a treasure box that the kids can dig in. That's going to be smaller stuff like Hot Wheels, or we'll go to the dollar store and rate anything I can buy mini for $1. I'll put those in there. Pencils, all kinds of stuff. T-shirts, we'll give those away. Here's another one, follow-up. How do we do follow-up for our kids? To know that they're missed. Brother Ken Backlund told a story, and I have never forgot this. He told this many years ago. But he would handwrite a letter to every kid that missed his class. If they didn't show up, they would get a handwritten note from him telling him that he missed them. Well, he found out many years later, this is, he wasn't even at that church anymore. And a lady came up to him, and she said, Brother Backlund, I have a little bit of a confession. He said, okay. She said, I'm now a pastor's wife, somewhere. She said, but I still have some letters from you that you wrote when I missed your class. He's like, oh, that meant a lot. He was, but we missed on purpose because I wanted the letters so bad. Because I knew all the other kids got them, and I wanted one. So I stayed home because I knew you wouldn't miss me. And they still have that letter, whatever, 20 years later, that they hung on to. So follow up with your kids. We have a miss you card that we're going to start pulling out again. We got it, but it just has a picture of an empty chair. It says, we missed you. You were missing. Handwrite it to your kids. We're going to get back on that. After COVID, we have a lot of little stuff that's been, we're going to bring all the pieces back in. But continual improvement. Brother Hodge, can you help us on this one? Continual improvement is so important. How do we make sure that we're always getting better, that we're not in a rut, that we're not just repeating the same things that we've done over and over? What are some ways that teachers can improve on an ongoing and consistent basis?
Sure. I think one thing that you might consider in your local fellowship, respective fellowship groups, I know we got some represented here from across the country, other parts of the country. God bless you for being here. But when I wasn't pastoring, I was a little bit more involved in local Sunday school on a more hands-on level. There was a think tank group that we had going between me and Brother Wayne and Brother Booker and a few others, Wayne Uzzle and some others. Jillian back in Fort Myers, Brother Randy Williams Church, and we just got on I don't know, it wasn't like monthly, was it a monthly thing? It was a monthly thing. We would get on a conference call together. Sometimes it was a conference call, sometimes it was Google Hangouts, and we would actually see each other. And we would have an accountability session with other Sunday school like-minded people from different churches, doing different things, and we would connect, and we would say, hey, what's working? What are you struggling with? What did you do? What are you planning for? And we would hold each other to the fire and hit major goals. And man, we inspired each other to do some amazing things. And I kind of miss it, actually. It's a lot of fun. But
I'll tell you one thing about that call that I'll never forget, is I knew it was coming up.
yeah,
So I wasn't going to be that guy.
but what's amazing though is like that's one reason why we take young people to conference, because we want them to be around like-minded young people and see, hey, look, it's more than just us in our church. We're a part of something bigger. Man, if you're just accountable to your kids aren't going to know what they're missing out on, right? But if you stay accountable to other Sunday school teachers and leaders and administrators or whoever, like-minded people, then they're going to inspire you to bring the best to your class. And sometimes we're just not thinking of it. It's not that we don't measure up. You give your best, that's awesome. But hey, after a while, I might start doing some things. So I need to reach out to others and get inspired from external sources than just my own creativity.
And a great way to do that is books. If you have some ideas, I'm going to give out a couple. Ed Dunlap is a great guy. He wrote these years ago, but they are timeless. There's called Mouse on a Mission. There's one called I Can't Wait Till Sunday. But they have just ideas that we never would have thought about. There's some that I've stolen directly from his book that we put in our Sunday school program about a good behavior game. How do you keep the kids participating? Well, every Sunday at the very end of class, we have those that behave well, handpicked, come up and they play a game in front of the rest of the class. And they get to watch them play because those are the ones that behave all day long. We're pushing. Well, you want to be a good behavior? Oh, I'm going to pull your name out just as easy as I put it in. But I got it out of that book. We're giving out another book called Whose Child Is This? It's for bus ministry. You talk about being inspired and changed, that book is going to mess with you. If you think that you have a burden now, you got to read this thing.
I'm a student of Sunday school. Let it be your passion. We expect musicians to practice their craft, to better their craft, to learn and be growing and keep ourselves accountable to those things, utilizing external resources, other teachers, ministers, books, podcasts. Greg Munoz, Keep in Mind podcast. Brother Phillip Whipper, Apostolic.com, they've got a podcast. I've got a resource that's coming out. I've got a couple of podcast episodes that COVID hit, and I was one busy pastor for a second, so I wasn't doing very much of that, but it's kidsmenuniversity.com. Kidsmen University, it's on Google Play, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can look that up and just always be learning something new.
Absolutely. So Brother Ray said they're doing it every other week right now for his podcast. And what's the name of it, brother? Kingdom Minded. We have KidU University, and then Apostolic Children's Ministry. We've been consistent for 2 whole weeks in a row.
That's a big deal.
That's right. 2 whole weeks. We're going to try to be consistent about that to let everybody. We're just recapping our last week, what happened, what went well, what went bad, how we came up with the ideas. We'll throw a bunch of other stuff in there, any rabbit trails that we chase down during that time. But online is a great way to get ideas.
It is real life. I hate to interrupt you, but can you put a filter on your eyeballs and on your ear bones? Because honestly, if you go through life and you're taking everything in through the lens of a Sunday school teacher, a billboard inspires you. Telephone poles inspire you. Random everyday objects will start juicing you up, right, with inspiration and different things. Even if you're going through a hard time at work, or you're going through a hard time at family, think of it, man, how can I use this? Can I be a testimony to my kids? How can I get on their level of real life? And if you're seeing through that lens, guess what? You're not going to be consumed by everyday stuff, but it's going to be inspiration for you to minister to somebody else.
Brother Lee just said that on one of our podcasts. He said he was going to some team building exercise at his work, and he did not want to go. Like, the last thing he wanted to do was team build at work. And his wife, I think his wife told him, hey, why don't you use this for Sunday school? Go there with open mind. Or somebody mentioned that to him. And he changed his entire outlook on it. He said, I'm going to go thinking, what can I get out of this and take to Sunday school?
You'll be a happier person in general if you just live your life with Sunday school on your mind.
But he did. He took those team building exercises to class and ended up doing some of the things he learned there actually in class. So you can use everything. And we talked about, Brother Wayne called it the red car effect. Whatever you're thinking about is what you see. What if you just bought a red Kia, you're going to see red Kias everywhere, even though before they didn't exist to you. So if you know that next Sunday you're teaching about repentance, think about it the Sunday before, and all week long, I'm telling you, you're going to have so much material by the next Sunday. Everything that happens to you is going to lend itself to repentance. and you are not going to have a boring class. So the worst word in Sunday school is boring. We're going to get that out of our vocabulary. We're going to keep it exciting, keep it fun. We are at 10:58. We're actually going to end a couple minutes early. If there's any questions, feel free to ask real quick, but we only got 2 minutes. So if not, we're going to move on. Okay, let's go to the breakouts. So go ahead and look at your sessions. What's that? Question? Yes, ma'am.
Do you have altar call in Sunday school?
Absolutely. Yes. Not every Sunday is created equal. I would love to say we had kids slamming the altar every Sunday. Not the way it happens. But we try. We try to have an altar call, or at least a time for the kids to pray and put into practice what we just put into it.
And as far as classroom dynamics, if you have a smaller classroom, there's still a way to do it. It's just, you might not have the same response, but don't just throw your hands in the air and say nobody's ever going to get the Holy Ghost in Sunday school. You present the opportunities, you coach them how to pray, you teach them, use those small group activities to teach them how to pray. The difference in Sunday school classes, I find that kids' are more responsive in the altars than they are in the Sunday school classroom. So if you're solely Sunday school classrooms, I encourage you once a month or every now and then, combine your classes and have a children's church where the whole drive of the entire service is to push them to the altar.
That's a great point. Not every class has the same dynamic. So at the end of class, there's something about playing a song. And it lends itself to a presence of God sweeping in your classroom. It really does. It may feel awkward at first. It may feel like I'm comfortable doing this, but it's like everything else we do, it's something that you get more comfortable with over time. And pretty soon, it's just going to be the normal to see kids praying and crying.